Alrighty. We'll get started in a moment, everybody. Just want to welcome everybody once again back to the live stream here on JJ's PC Builds. You know it is JJ with you once again. Make sure if you're first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds and my veteran subscribers. As always, much love to you for all that you do, help and support the channel. Let's see, I'm going to type in live on YouTube. Okay. So we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get in here and, just getting herself ready. And so stick around and we're going to be right on it. Kind of didn't think that it did that in the beginning. I'm having a little bit more of a hard time with that when it comes to YouTube, getting my startup in there, and it's just been crazy though. It's been really crazy. So, huh. Alrighty, we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it and get it all started, I guess. And hopefully people will trickle in as we're going along, so they'll have to roll back to the beginning just to keep that in mind to see where we're going with this today. But today, what we're going to be doing, well, I better look at the camera right here. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to review this and see and button it up and finalize it to be done with it, because this is going to be shipped off later on today. So I got plenty of time to do that and get my desk cleared, by the way, because I'm thinking about something else. I got something else cooking in the works. And make sure you all got your drinking snacks with you, by the way. Now you're connected at the works, but anyway, let's see. Let's go ahead and just jump into it and go over to the action screen. First thing I want to show you as it boots up, I want to show you this. This is going to be remarkable. Now, this 3-second delay, that's something in the BIOS. I'll find that out. I got to do a little bit more research on it. But as far as this booting up, look at that. Boom. It's right on the desktop. That fast. Yeah. We know the lighting services from Asus. We know Armory Crate. I leave those on because that's like a notification to let everybody know, when something's happening. It's notifying them and letting them know what's going on. It's good to do that. This way, if there's any viruses or anything that comes up, you'll be, instantaneously notified. Even if it's during gameplay or something that you do that might be, crazy to the fact when you deal with your PC. I didn't turn on the RGB, but I'll do that And time goes on, when I boot back into the BIOS, I'll turn the RGB back on. I turned it off. It's in stealth mode right now. So just to let you all know that it's in stealth mode. Okay, so now I got my hands on this. We're going to test with OCCT. And as you can see, taking the regular hard drive that was in here and going to M.2 was a blessing. Let me turn that off. Let's see. Let's go to standard. Shadow complexities at the max. This doesn't really push it, but it does a little bit. But you know what? Let's not go in here. I don't feel it's going to push it enough. Let's go to Furmark. And let's see what we can do. We're just going to run the GPU test right now. And let it run for a little while. It's always interesting to do these tests. Let's say it's going to be at gameplay, right? Well, what we can do is this. Since we're going to, maximize and get this running the right direction, so we're going to click on Sanctuary. Let's see, did not design run on Windows or contains errors or it's a bad image. Okay, I'll take that out and I'll work on that. But like I said, these tests are just, short tests. We'll run Heaven Benchmark while the Furmark is running. Quality, we'll run it at, let's say we'll run it at medium. And we will run Tessellation disabled. Just give it the regular gameplay kind of scenario. Running both at the same time. This will give me a little bit of a gameplay scenario. Not a total gameplay, but it'll give me somewhat what to look forward to. Pushing it a little bit. But I will tell you this. It does not look bad at all. Hey, John Paul, welcome. Good to see you, man. I'm running my synthetic benchmarks like I got told on one of my videos. They said to me, well, you just run synthetic benchmarks and blah, 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 Okay, well, I know I run the synthetic benchmarks, but I run them in different ways. Okay, like I'm running two at the same time to see what's going to happen. And now I got to connect my wire. So we'll go ahead and we'll go on the internet. And just give you an idea of what my synthetic benchmarks were. So we'll go ahead and get out of all this. We'll go over here and find out why this isn't working. Yay, it says connected. Okay. Now, I know everybody doesn't approve of my testing techniques, but, you know, I'm doing these testings, and everybody has to understand this. I'm testing this way because if I was in the consumer's shoes, the one that don't have all those fancy gadgets and tools and stuff that they can put on their desktop to measure everything down to the nitty gritty. You want to be able, the consumer to be able to test on their own to see where they're at. Okay. It's almost New Year's. Are you getting ready for it? Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready for it. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the 30th. Tomorrow's the 31st. Yeah, I'm getting ready for it. Most definitely. Most definitely. I'm not going to be doing, and that's the thing. I'm not going to be doing a video on the 31st or the 1st. Or maybe the 2nd, too, because this is, you know, New Year's, and I'm not going to be on YouTube, so I'm just giving y'all a heads up really quick. So, it's end of the year. I've been going nonstop, making videos even on my birthday, even on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. You know, this is the end of the year right here. This is for the end of the year. Hopefully, me being a year older now will let me be a little bit more wiser. Had a good party last night. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday, John Paul. Happy birthday, May. Hopefully you stayed out of trouble and you didn't get too tied over on the, you know. So. And if you did, make sure you made it good, because when you woke up in the morning with a headache, then that would have been a problem. Then you would have to drink some more just to get rid of the headache. But anyway, I know everybody says, well, 3D Mark's synthetic benchmarks. I know this. Okay, when I run synthetic benchmarks, okay, this is something your normal consumer would do because they don't have the tools to go out there and, you know, purchase, you know, many of things to make their, to, you know, tune their computer to the way they want it to run. So I give you ideas about benchmarks that you can use. That doesn't cost anything. Okay, that doesn't cost anything. Gives you an average and an idea of what your computer is doing. Just to let you know. Thanks. It was a nice little family party. I had Bud Light and Lime with a shot of Fireball in it. Oh, my goodness. You're living dangerous on that, don't you think? A shot of Fireball in your Bud Light? Oh, dangerous, man. Dangerous. We're going to run Night Raid. I want to see what Night Raid's going to do. I know what it does on my 4070. Okay, I know what it does on my 4070, but I want to see what it's doing on this new PC. You know, this has got my curiosity. I got to remember to disable that pop-up. Okay, Alt-R. And it didn't work. Oh my God. Oh, wrong one. Let's see. Stream is on, stream is on, stream is on. Okay, hit Alt R. Overlay. And this is the first time that it's actually let me do this. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I overlaid the adrenaline so I can see what it's doing. It's still running in the background, but I wanted to overlay it because I wanted to see what it's actually going to do as far as temperatures and everything else. Yeah, we'll bring that down there so that way we can see the board power. Let's see. With the way I have my PC set up now, I can go maybe 2 or 3 years without needing to upgrade. But if I get the chance, who knows, I might. Well, you know what? Always look at it like this. If you have a good sized case, you have a very good power supply, right? If you have a really great power supply and it handles all the newest models that's current and future wise, which I do, but 1,000-watt power supply is pretty good, and you have an AIO cooler. The only thing I got to switch on this computer, if I want to go up to the next gen, is I switch the RAM, the processor, and the motherboard. Everything else is set. There's nothing else I need to do to this. So upgradability, you want to be able to switch out parts to the newest and best, but still use the same case and everything else. That's what I built this for, was that I'd put it on AM4, but if they want to go up to AM5, now they have that upgradability to go there. See, they have that upgradability. The only thing they would change is the motherboard, the processor, and the RAM. That's it. Not unless they want to go Intel, but Intel's on a, dead end stream. It's basically 14th gen and it's done and gone. So right now it's not good to go over to the Intel side until they got the next gen coming out. Then I would think about upgradability there. But with AMD, you got upgradability to, what did they say? They said right up to the 9000 series when it comes to the GPU, or the CPUs is up to the 9000 series. After that, they might or they might not continue the AM5 platform. They might, because if they go to change to a new platform, it's going to cost them millions of dollars to change to a new. Every time they do a new platform, it costs them millions of dollars. And people don't understand that. They got to spend close to a couple, some of them spend close to almost $1 billion. So that's something to think about. And right now, the way the economy is and times are tight, I doubt they're going to spend that kind of money. They're going to carry this up at least four more generations. I have a feeling they might. They might. My current PSU is the following: Seasonic Prime, 1300 gold. Well, there you go. You get the power supply you got is great. The power supply you got is great. You don't have to worry about that. If you got a big enough case, always look at if you got a big enough case, to handle ATX, EATX, MATX, ITX, that does the whole boat, then you can't go wrong with it. So you don't need to get fans. You don't need to get a case. And if you got a 360 AIO, you don't need to get that neither, which this all has here. So I don't have to worry that much about it. See, if your computer, you got the parts inside it, all you're doing is upgrading and changing. That's simple as that. With AMD switching to LGA from PGA, yep, I'm going to say that. AM4 is still PGA. AM5 will lead for at least 2-3 more generations of CPUs. Yeah, I agree with that on the tier 3. I'm going to tell you, what's been going down the wire right now is that they have been saying that they don't know past the 9000 series. They don't know what they're going to be doing past the 9000 series. That's up in the air. So they might put a foothold and put 9000 series up and out, and then build downwards and start filling in the gaps of the rest of their series, like they're doing with the 7000 series and the 5000 series. Like they're coming out with the 5700X 3D. They've already came out with the 5600X 3D, which I got here. And now they're coming out with the 5500X 3D. They're starting to fill in the gaps in the AM4 series. They're not done with AM4 series. I hate to tell everybody that, but they're not. They still got lots of gaps to fill in. There's still about, maybe from what the polls are showing me, about 67% of people are still on AM4. They're not up on the AM5 just yet. They're waiting to see what the X3D is going to bring. Because if they're going to do 5500X 3D, 5600X 3D, which they already did, I got it in my system, the 5700X 3D, and they got the 5800X 3D. What platform do you really think you're going to be with? You got how many X3D chips compared to the 7000 series? Think about it. So, which way are you going to go? Which way are you going to go? I mean, as far as I can see on this computer, it's done. My current case is Cooler Master HF XB Evo. I have a 240 AIO on it, a 7950X 3D, DDR5. My storage Crucial T700, 2 terabytes, Gen 5. Not bad. That's not a bad system, dude. MSI Radeon RX 7900 XTX. Awesome. You get an awesome PC. That's definitely going to last you more than 2 years. That's going to last you about 5 years. Most definitely. Just like mine. I know mine's not as hopped up as everybody else. Okay? I'm not on the AM5 platform. I will be sometime next year. I will be on the AM5 platform. I'm thinking about going up to the AM5 platform, all depending on the finances. I'm doing like the normal consumer has to do with the finances. I have to work my way up towards that, amount. So I'm thinking about going up to the AM5 platform myself. I want to start off with the 7600X. I know that sounds like it's low and everything else, but I want to start off with the 7600X. I can get me a B650 motherboard, 7600X. I can get me 32 gigabytes of RAM, and that's it. I got everything else. So, hey, you ain't the only one. Just because I'm a content creator on YouTube, I still got to save just like everybody else. I do feel the pain. Trust me, I feel your pain when it comes to this. I'm still working to get more of everything here, but that takes time, that takes money, and I'm working on it slowly but surely, So I do understand your pain. I feel your pain 100%. Oh, you got a good motherboard. You got the Asus ProArt X670E Creator Wi-Fi. Dude, that don't get any better than that. You pick and choose your battles. The 700 series I'm not fond of. I've already heard a few horror stories about the 700 series. I'm not too fond of the 700 series. 600 series, the 650, the B650 or the X670, yeah, I can be a fan of. B650 I can be a fan of because the price is down to about $125 for the motherboards. So, oh, Ninja, what'd you order? What'd you order on your build? Come on, inquiring minds want to know. I want to know what you got. Share, please. Share. Hopefully it's better than mine. Mine are average, the kind of average ones, but, I'm with these two systems right here, I hate that when they do that. Oh my God. Let's see. Let's go. Oh, that's right. I moved it. I moved it, everybody. I can't install them right now because if I do, it'll take and disrupt the stream. So I do apologize for that. I forgot I moved them over to I moved all my games over to my new drive. Where's that? Oh, let me take you back to the main screen for a moment and show you guys. Ow, son of a bitch. Okay, back to the main screen. I moved all my games over to this. This one right here. I moved all my games over to that. That's this drive. This drive I'm using in this system right now. Oh, man. This right here. If you look on my first video, or was it the first or the second live stream, when I booted this up with the other drive, the regular hard drive, you guys would see how slow it moved. I mean, it moved slow. But now, when this thing boots up, it's like crazy. Crazy. Let's see. You got i9 14900KF, 24 core. We know that's CPU. Yeah. I'm going to ask you, Ninja, I'm going to ask you a question. Is that the same system they had at Micro Center? Or no? Or is this your total build? Holy mackerel. You got a 240 AIO, 2 terabyte Kingston Fury Renegade. Wow. 32 gigs of 5200 Corsair Vengeance, RGB, MSI Pro Z790S, RX 7900 GRE. Oh, Ninja, you need to tell us how that GRE GPU is running for you, the 7900 GRE. You need to tell us, because I was curious, because I know it's only over in China, but I was curious to how it's running. Oh, you picked that on CyberPower PC? Whoa. Y60 panoramic game case? Wow. How much did it cost? Whew, lordy. I know that had to have been a pretty penny, having those kind of numbers. Wow. I know that had to have been a pretty penny. Oh, man. Oh, wow. I lost everything. The only thing that went through was 3D Mark. Hey, I lost everything. Dang. They didn't even keep my stats or nothing. Word to the wise, if you're going to do your games, put them on a game drive. Just make it completely games. Don't do like I did and put them onto my operating system drive. Oh my. I lost everything. I lost all my stats, everything. Not disappointed. It just makes me go ahead and play the game over again. That's all. Wow. I know the 7900 XTX was supposed to be a great GPU and all, But Ninja, wow, that's a hefty tag for what you got, but in the long run, it's going to be worth it. If you look at it, that's going to get you 4 to 5 years out of that, most definitely. Hopefully you get a good service warranty with them. Oh, you did? Wow. Well, the way I got my drive set up there, John Paul, is I got my 1 terabyte drive, which has my operating system on, right? I have my 2 terabyte drive. I'm putting all my games on, and I'm doing my creator video editing off of that drive. And then for my storage, I got a 14 terabyte regular hard drive. I think it's an Exos or something like that. A Seagate Exos. It's one of them really good drives. I picked it up. I picked that 14 terabyte up for like maybe $126 when it was out there, and now they want almost $300 for the thing, and I'm like sticker shocked right now. Sticker shocked. Hey, Wakey. How are you? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm running a synthetic benchmark, but always think it like this is because when you got a consumer out there that doesn't have the kind of money that these big reviewers or these people that, do all this massive testing, they don't have that kind of money for that kind of test equipment. So the best thing they can do is they can get free software on the internet to test their PCs. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not claiming to be a big, bad old guy that's got, tons of testing equipment here. No, I don't have tons of testing equipment. Is because I'm doing it the way the consumer is going to do it. Simple. This is the way the consumer does it to test their PCs. For the 8 terabyte M.2s, if you really want to know my opinion, you're best off to get yourself between a 14 and 16 terabyte. That would be your best bet. I always hated this benchmark because a 7700K couldn't run it fast, and I had a i5 64. Look, I'm running the Ryzen 5 5600X 3D with the 7800 XT. I just want to know what this is doing, so that way, if I need to make any changes or anything, I can make changes either in the BIOS or I can make it in the programming, just little changes. But from the only reason I run this, yeah, it is a synthetic benchmark, but it's an isolated benchmark. It isolates everything. You don't get DLSS. You don't get FSR. You don't have none of that. It just runs it right as it is. It's set. And that's why a lot of people don't like it, is because it's set programming. You can't cheat the test. Some people love to try to cheat the test, but you can't cheat the test. If you do it right, you're not cheating the test. So, and a lot of people try to cheat the test to get better numbers, up at top. I don't cheat the test. I want to see what the test is actually doing with no DLSS, no FSR, no hanky-panky stuff to where, it's running in the background. That's a synthetic bench test. Is when you're running all those extras in the background. That's a synthetic bench test. Now, if you're running it just as for raw horsepower, that's a different kind of test. That's called an actual benchmark. So not a lot of people know that, though. I'm great, just scrolling on YouTube, saw you were live, thought I'd drop in, doing some slight overclocking for my games, to which, fun, just simple stuff, though. Hey, it's all good. I mean, I have this stream every Saturday, either at 11 o'clock or at 4 p.m., either one. But I post ahead of time to let everybody know a couple days ahead of time. If you're subscribed, you'll see that the post comes out and it'll let you know when I'm going to be going live on Saturday. So, or if I post a video, you'll know. So make sure you do subscribe. Just to let you know that. Yeah, today I seen it this way too. But in the old days, I was even younger than I am now. Hey, we all were, just to say that. The reason why I'm running these tests right now is I want to see, compared to my system right here, the one I use for my creator work and everything else, I've already ran the benchmarks on this, and I'm going to compare what this system's doing compared to mine. Now, if this one beats my system, then I know I got this tuned correctly, which I can probably see that it is going to be beating it all, beating it all crazy. So, but I run these benchmarks. It's to test the system, and I'm taking you all along with me when it comes to this. So that way you can see the things that I do on my testing, which the testing you can do on your system to see just what kind of results you get. So either way, you can do your benchmarks however you want to do them. That's up to you. But I do these for the simple fact because it gives me an estimate of where I need to be and where I'm at now, if that makes sense to you. So I don't use any HDDs anymore. I do still have 2 LGs, 16 Blu-rays. Oh, yeah. I got about a dozen of those over in the closet. Internal burner drive. These drives handle all optical disc formats. Well, that's cool. I mean, I got my sleeper build that I just did. That's got a Blu-ray optical drive in it. Reason is because these manufacturer companies still are sending out these little CDs for your drivers, for your motherboards. They're still doing it. Instead of sending you a USB drive, they don't want to do that neither. So, and trust me, the numbers you guys are seeing right now in your upper right-hand corner, those are right from the program on the GPU, from Adrenaline software. So you see exactly what's going on. When it comes to the FPS and, the lows, the frame time, the amount of percentage the GPU's using, the board power, the GPU temp, CPU utilization and CPU temp. So you guys see everything. So figured I'd let you know that. Using my Samsung 52-inch 4K HD TV as monitor. Wow. That's a beast of a monitor, man. 52. I'm lucky to get, I got 32s here. I thought these were a beast. Yeah. Right now I run 2-year-old game and my GPU sips 2.4. Look, if I was running a 12, 13-year-old game, I'm sure it would only just like a straw, just sip it very nicely. You know what I heard? Now I want y'all to hear me out on this. I heard from another reviewer told me that your professional gamers, get this, your professional gamers, they all use 1080p at a high resolution. Every one of them use 1080p at a high resolution. Is this true or false? That's what I'd like to know. Yeah, we are. I agree. The 1080p gang, yeah. But I want to know if it's true or false. I heard this. I cited CeeLo. Good to see you. 720p at 34 FPS. Oh, yeah, I know. Truthfully, a lot to do. Good PC, 720 PC. That's kind of. See, understand this. If you're happy with the gameplay on your PC, it doesn't matter if it's 720, doesn't matter if it's 1080, doesn't matter if it's 1440, doesn't matter if it's 2060, which is 4K. Whatever you're happy with and you're happy with running, and your gameplay is just like you want it, then why change it? I mean, why would you go as far as changing something that you enjoy? Oh, Lordy, use 1080p with the 4090. Why not? You get better FPS that way. It's a GameCube game, emulated 30 FPS, and only because I activated PAL 60 mode. Otherwise, it would be 25 FPS. Yeah, true. I don't do too many GameCube games. You know what I mean? I'm be honest with you. I don't have a GameCube. I don't have an Xbox, and I don't have a Sony PlayStation. I run hardcore PCs because I found that you get more horsepower. And don't get me wrong, I know there's some people that love their Xbox, love their Sony PlayStations and everything else. But with a regular PC, you get 10 times the amount of horsepower from a regular PC than you do an Xbox or, any other games. Especially you can take your time and build your system and make it the way you want it, other than buying a system that's pre-built from a company that's only giving you 1/4 of what's supposed to be inside those. If you notice how the hard drive that's inside those are very, very small, you ever notice that the memory on them are very, very light? The operating system in them are not even up to date and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy. It's just something to think about. I just want you to think about it. Current generation. Yeah, it is, John Paul. All the hardware I got here, okay? My main PC, they both will do 1440p. I can get a 1440p monitor at any time and plug in 1440p. I choose to run 1080p because I like how it runs. Excuse me. So, true. True 4K hardware is a good time away still. You know, and many people that have been running 4K right now have been getting such low FPS because of the pixelation of the 4K monitor that they got to run, even if they're running the 4090. And don't get me wrong, I've seen the 4090 buckle at the knees. So it's something to really think about. Some people really do use a 4090 for full HD, and modern games look really beautiful this way. And high FPS, I agree. CPU limit constantly. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You're fine. Don't even think about, it'd be different if you were, in here agitating and spamming, but you're not. You're trying to get your point out. It's no big deal. Gotta activate keyboard illumination. Yeah. I'm building a new PC, but I do agree with you. The CPU limited because of the and I always hear the fact of them saying that that your GPU has to be stronger than your CPU for the simple fact you don't want bottlenecking, but you're still going to, either way you look at it, you're going to bottleneck it either way. But if you find that middle balance between the GPU and the CPU, you find that middle balance between, for your hardware, for your software, I'm sure the bottlenecking will be down to like maybe 1 or 2%. The bottlenecking on mine, the balance I got mine at is very minimal. So I really don't see, I don't see any stuttering or, any artifacting or anything else. So yeah, the balance is real good. So if you don't have any stuttering or artifacting, then the balance is good. You don't need to do anything else, really. I'm building a new PC. Do you recommend a place to buy a Windows key? I hear everybody's going to VIP CD keys. Okay. I hear a lot of people going to the VIP CD key thing. Many reviewers are advertising for VIP CD keys. I'm not advertising for them for the simple fact they never asked me to. And if I did, then I could recommend you to them. But I'm going to try them out when I get ready to get a new key for the sleeper build and this other build I got down here that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to test them out to see if they're reliable or not, if you're wondering that. And if they're not reliable, I can tell you to have a look, but as far as reliability, I can't really tell you about any place right now, other than if you bought it from the store and you bought a retail key compared to, what do you call it? I keep forgetting the name of it. Oh my God. Buying a pre-bought key and having it, reusable, something like that. But, all they're doing is they're taking the keys from pre-builts, they're revamping them and they're pushing them out, basically. But if you buy a retail key from like Microsoft or, one of these big name providers, like Amazon. Well, I don't even know about Amazon anymore. I'm not going to recommend Amazon, but I'm saying if you go to Walmart and say they're selling it on the shelf and you can buy the Windows 10 retail key, then, go with that. I mean, used to be to where retail keys were only, back in the Windows XP days, they're only like maybe $89. Now they're over $300. I can't figure them out. I started and grew up with the video game industry. Cool, John Paul. Good, good, good. Atari 2600 was my first console. Actually, the Aquarius 2600 for me, it was a little computer. You have to build your own little programs, and you had little cassette tapes and stuff like that. That was back then, but you know, Sega, Sony, and don't get me wrong. I used to have my Nintendo. I had played a Nintendo for a couple of years. You know, I was on the Nintendo kick, but with these levels of requirements and hardware specs, TEAA does the job most of the time. But I see a difference between 1080p and 1440p as well. You know, if okay, let me do something. Let me take us off of this Windows 11 screen. Okay, we all seen that. You know, let me go ahead and just move this out of the way. Let's just get this turned off. Let's open this up. Let's move this around. Let's turn overlay off. Okay, so we're going to leave that here like this for a moment. For a moment. Let's see. Let's move you all around. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me move you around. Sorry about this. I have to move everybody around just to get everything all square one. Alrighty. We'll get there slowly but surely. Okay, let's see. Let's do this. Let's do that. All right. Now, let me go back to the comment of MTBK. You know who you are. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold you on the comment of this. I'm going to show you something. If you go into NVIDIA settings, if you got an NVIDIA card, right? Let's just say you got an NVIDIA card, right? Now, let's maximize this. Why is that so small? Oh, display settings. Go back to my display settings. Okay, let's see if that made a difference. Where? Okay, there we go. Nope, didn't make a difference. Okay. What was it? Right here. DSR features or DSR factors. I have mine set at 1440p right here on this screen. This one I'm showing you right now. I have it set at 1440. If I take this off, hit OK, and then hit apply, hopefully it doesn't screw up my screens. Okay, now, do you see the difference in? Now, I'm gonna state this to you. Do you see the difference in 1080p compared to 1440? That's what this screen was set at, 1440. How did I take a 1080p screen and move it up to 1440? which you can right here in right here, and you can scale it yourself. Okay, that's one thing I like about NVIDIA is you get this scaling that you can go 1440p, you can go 2160 and rescale your monitors to run that, even though it says 1080p, but you can still scale your monitors up to whatever you want. If you want to scale it up to 4K on a 1080p monitor, you can. If that's crazy enough for y'all. But you can do that. I'll X out of this now. So, I did want to show you guys that. Okay, there's a lot of questions that was about that, about the upscaling that you can do in the control panel of NVIDIA. But you can upscale your monitor, even if it's at 1080p, but if it's got the upscaling capabilities, then you can upscale it to like a 1440p or a 4K setting without having to move off of 1080p. Now, that's one thing I really enjoyed about this graphics card, is because I can choose what I want. The industry is moving to needing software to play games is stupid on my opinion. I agree, John Paul. I mean, it's getting more complex, and it's so simple. It's right in front of them. They just want to make it more complex so they make more money. So, that's how they work. That's how they make their money, is they make it more complex. I don't expect that much bottlenecking. Yeah, well, you're probably not going to get that much. I mean, if you got, you're up at that point to where, the only way it's going to really bottleneck is if they come out with a new game that's actually going to put a really big hurt on your system. But with the older games, it's not going to bottleneck it. I don't foresee that anytime in the future. My PC is dead silent, loving that. Hey, look, you want to hear this one? Tell me if you hear that. Anybody, tell me if you hear that. Because the only thing you guys are hearing is my fan that's over this way. That's over on the other side of the room. And I got two computers right here. Got one right here, and I got one right here. And I got 18, close to 20 fans going. Close to 20 fans going. So do think about that. OEM keys. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name for some reason. I had like a brain fart or something. Best Buy, Newegg, and accessory. Yeah, you can do that there too. Let's see. Be Quiet 240 AIO. Okay. I'm not knocking it, but Deep Cool 240 AIO. That's supposed to go into my system, but it won't fit in the case. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do from that. I'm probably going to have to take and get me a new case. I'm foreseeing that in the future. 460 laptop GPU here. Total winner. Hey, if it works, I ain't knocking it. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As simple as that. That Blu-ray burner. Hey, it's all good, man. I'd rather take a 1440p original than scale it down to lower res for best experience. Look, I was just doing that to make a point that, you can scale it down from the control panel And you don't have to scale it down inside of the game or anything else. You can scale it down if you want to do that. I wanted to do that for testing it to see what it would look like, to give me something to look forward to when I decide to go either get a 1440p monitor or a 4K monitor. This gives me an idea of what I'm looking forward to, if I really like it or not. If not, I'm just going to stay with 1080p. It's as simple as that, you know. So, yeah. Think desktop GPUs have these upscaling settings. Laptop. You know what I noticed? I'm going to say this. This doesn't have that. I did not see that on this. That kind of upscaling with AMD. I did not see that. Unless I missed it somewhere, you know, I'm sure you guys are going to tell me in the comments down here below that I missed something. I probably did, but I didn't see it. Sleeping right next to the PC is that is nice. If it is really silent, then that is nice. I mean, you can't beat it. If you got really bad inductor coils on your motherboard or really bad inductor coils on your GPU, and you're hearing a vibration in, you know, a very obnoxious vibration coming out of your PC, everybody always says, oh, it's the fans. Yeah. Well, I had fans that were tick-tocking. You know, that was annoying, but there's a way to eliminate that. I'm just saying, you know, you can run it. Listen again. Look how close the mic is to, and I know I got the mic jacked up pretty high. That don't sound too bad. Y'all tell me, does that sound bad or what? If y'all heard it, it probably something I can't hear. I don't hear any coil line, obviously, because you didn't put gravitation on the GPUs. The system you built in your live stream has very low noise level. Yeah, I couldn't hear anything with top ears. Well, thank you very much. I mean, look, these fans here with this system, they came this whole case, looking at this whole case with the, you know, the fishbowl glass in the front and on the sides, supposed to be seamless right here, hopefully. And, you know, you get the 6 fans, you know, that come with the case. For $100, I got it for 100. Was it? What did I say? $103, something like that. Got it for 103. Was it 100? Yeah, it was $103. So got the whole case with 6 fans for $103. Not 30, 103. Okay, I got the AIO for 103. Okay, I got the GPU for $529. I mean, I got the motherboard and the CPU and not this RAM, but it did come with RAM, 16 gigs of RAM. I got that for $329, and the new RAM I just got like $50. I mean, and the power supply, I bought it for $129. It's now $176. So, all in all, I mean, spent a couple dollars more, got, you know, an AM4 system. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, you got AM4, you don't have AM5. You're right, I don't have AM5. Is for the simple fact that, you know, I'm not too satisfied right now with how they're, keeping up on the driver updates, the BIOS updates, and all that with AM5. Now, for the most reliable platform right now is AM4. That's reliable on AMD's side. There are going to come times to where the reliability on AM5 is going to dwindle because of all the new upgrades to the software and everything else. It will dwindle. So that's kind of the ups and downs they had with the AM4 series. But now it's the AM4 series is mastered, and on top of that, AMD is going to put out the 5700X3D. And they're thinking about putting out the 5500X3D. That's a lot of X3D chips for a dead platform, don't you think? So, I think my next adventure is if I decide I want to get the 5800X3D, which I'm benchmark testing between that and the 7800X3D, that the 5800X3D on the AM4 platform, when they benchmark it, and many have benchmarked this now, that the 5800X3D is somewhat keeping up with the 7800X3D. So what advantage do I see going up to the AM5 series? What advantage? I get a 5800X3D for what? $300. But if I go to buy an the next tier platform, that's going to cost me what? $400 or $500, $600. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go with the 5800X3D. All I got to do is plug and play. Done. So you have to really look at the cloak and dagger of all this. What are you really going to do? Are you think the AM4 platform's all done? No. I could get 128 gigs of RAM for my computer for cheap. I could go all the way up to the 4400 overclock series on this motherboard. 4400 megahertz on this motherboard. It's still got room to go up. So it's something to think about. Those are lower bin RX 5800 X3Ds. That couldn't make... Yeah, that is true. But I do... But for the price... for the price of paying $229 for the processor, but hear me out. You get a motherboard. I got an Asus B550 tough gaming Wi-Fi motherboard for $100 more. So for $329, including the warranty for 5 years. Tell me you're going to beat that. Tell me you're going to beat that at that price for $329. And on top of it, I got 16 gigs of G-Skill RAM. Tell me you're going to beat that with an AM5, any combination on AM5 for that price, for $329. You're not. So they do make combinations for AM4 that are really great combinations. I mean, for cheap. You got to remember, too, the people out there that want a game. Just want to game and, build their system, best they can and be able to play all the games. Look, I can play Cyberpunk 2077. I can play The Last of Us. I can play all the newest games that are out there. With this system or this system over here, which you guys can't see, it's over here. But I can play any one of those games at 1440p or 4K. Yep, about that. If you're including the RAM and everything else, the RAM, the processor, the motherboard, just those three alone, you're thinking about spending $450, $500. Other than saving yourself a couple bucks and getting yourself a system that's just as reliable, might not be the horsepower of the century, but it's still got horsepower. It's still got another 3 to 4 or 5 years left on this platform. You could still buy these processors to upgrade to the next level. Remember, you still got, let's say you get a 5600, right? And you got yourself a nice B550 motherboard. Well, you know what? You still got the 5600X, okay? Right? Let me do it. Still got the 5600X. You still got the 5600X 3D. You still got the 5700, maybe. There might be a 5700. I'm hearing about that. You got the 5700X, which I got in my system right now. You got the, soon maybe, the 5700X 3D. You got the 5800X. You got the 5800X 3D. You got the 5900X, and so on. You still have a lot of processors that you can plug in to your motherboard for AM4 that are still within a budget compared to the AM5. So that's something to really think about. Last personal desktop system I went for was the i9-10900 instead of a Ryzen 3950X. Same gaming performance, half multi, but lower end cost with integrated graphics. Not enough 10 cores bend up to the 10900K. I agree with that. Yeah. But the thing is Intel now these days hasn't been really honest with everybody about their the performance on their GPU. I mean their processors. And putting out their GPUs that were quarter of the way done, that weren't programmed properly, that had improper BIOS connections and everything else. And now we're talking about the Intel Arc. Now they're going to come out with their own FSR programming. If you didn't hear it, I heard it. I heard they're working on it. They're going to come out with their own FSR programming for their Arc GPUs. Just like AMD does, just like how, NVIDIA does. Now, it seems Intel's upping their game. Even though that they don't have DirectX 12 in all the games for their Arc, just doesn't make sense, but you know how that goes. Let's see. AM5 7K series GPU. Yeah. But they're not as good, John Paul. You know what I want to see? I'm waiting to see the 8000 series. 8000 series with their integrated graphics. The integrated graphics supposed to be on the 8000 series is supposed to be a monster. And on top of that, the processor alone is supposed to go up to 5.1 gigahertz. Get that. That's going to be interesting to have an iGPU up at that frequency. It's really going to make a big difference. So, something to think about. And on top of that, I want to also to touch base with everybody on something else too. Okay. Now, this is 12/30/2023. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. And then after tomorrow, we're at the 1st of January. We're on 2024. Now, within the first or second week is going to be CES. And hopefully when they do their broadcasting on CES for their upcoming stuff, I am hoping that I'm able to live stream it to you all. And I'll see if I can do it. So I'm going to try to live stream to y'all from, doing the CES thing with Jensen. So I'm hoping for that too. Oh, God. But there's a rumor going around about the RTX 40 Super Series. I don't know how reliable it's going to be, but some of the rumors are telling me that the prices on it's just rumor that some of the prices on the GPUs for the 40 series are going to stay right where they're at, but the new Super Series prices are going to be higher, like $50 to $100 higher than the prices that are out now. That's one thing I've been hearing. And then I've been hearing also too them saying that it's going the opposite way, to where at the last minute, NVIDIA is going to drop the prices on the regular 4070, 4070 Ti, 4080, and drop the prices down just to fit in the new prices for the Super Series. I'm also hearing that too. So, true. It doesn't stop them from being perceived as enthusiast platforms. Yep, which is true. Instead of mainstream, because AMD claims it's enthusiast desktops, but an iGPU is always nice to have. Plus, they added 2 CUs. Are you sure they only added 2 CUs? Okay, let's walk through this really quick. The 5600G has 7 CUs. The 5700G has 8 CUs. Now the 8700 or something like that has 12 CUs. They're going to have 12 CUs on that new one coming out. So that's a lot higher than what they got now on the 5000 series. Something to think about. Actually, AMD iGPUs have been better than it. Yeah, they have been. I do agree with that, John Paul, 100%. Most part of AMD invented the CPUs with integrated GPUs. Yeah, they did. Because if you roll back to the day with Intel was running their integrated graphics off of one of those daughter cards. But when AMD got on the scene, they turned around and they co-invested into doing integrated graphics with Intel at the time. So, but AMD and Intel got into it that Intel went to sue AMD for the simple fact of them stating that AMD was stealing intellectual properties and stuff like that. So they just had bad blood ever since the early 80s. So yeah. A live stream from CES would be awesome. Well, you know, I'm going to try for it. I'll let y'all know ahead of time. I'm going to try for it. I couldn't run Detroit Become Human in Intel iGPU, but I saw footage AMD APU can run it. Yeah, because you got to remember, AMD back then was based on MMX technology, multimedia extreme technology. They're the ones that come up with it. They're the ones that perfected it. And when they bought, I forgot that. Oh, my brain's not there. When they bought their GPU company, then they went full mainstream. Oh, 2 compute units. Okay. I understand now. It's all good. Glad they found some die area on 7000 series for 2 compute. I understand now. Yeah, I do agree. I mean, but the only thing you're really going to be using those for is if you have any trouble with your discrete graphics card. But as far as gaming on those, I've seen a lot of people talking about that, and they're like, it's not as great as you think it is to game on the 7000 series CPUs, the ones that got integrated graphics built onto them. They say the 2 CUs don't really cut it. So that's as far as I know about that. So I seen a couple videos on that, and a couple of friends of mine were telling me about it, and they're like, I don't think you want to go that route. I'm like, okay. So most people would have complained they could have made the cores wider instead of adding graphics 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's the same song and dance. I was happy about iGPUs because it does cut your energy bill down to half. I do agree with you, man. I do agree with you. Because you're not running a discrete graphics card that's not running, an extra couple 100 watts, pulling it, 200 watts off of your power supply, and then an additional 50 to 75 off of the motherboard, giving it a total of 3 to 350 watts, coming out of your wall. And if you take 350 watts and you break it down to it, and that's like 35 amps, all day long for how many hours you play your game and everything else. It's pennies turned into dollars really quick. So i7 2600 with an HD 2000. Yeah. Right now. So. But still, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I got my older system that's got DDR3 on it. One that I spent 2 years on. That's got the GT 730. I know y'all are going to brag on me about this. Yes, it's a 4 gigabyte VRAM GT 730. It's the Dell Optiplex 780 that has the i5 2400 in it. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, DDR3, and it's still rocking on a regular hard drive. But I'm going to tell you something. It still kicks butt. To this day, it still kicks butt. So don't get mad at me for having that PC, but I can upgrade the processor to the, was it the i7 2600? Just like you got right there. I can upgrade it to the i7 2600. So just need a display adapter, but processor itself was fast. Oh, you got a VGA monitor, or you got a VGA hookup? You go from VGA to HDMI. They do have those connectors too. Thinking about it, but good thing about the GT 730, it already comes with what do you call it? It comes with HDMI built on. So. Oh, well, you know. We all, I mean, I'm going to say this. We all had our, systems from long time ago. We all have our systems today. Yeah, but you still can get those adapters for VGA and DVI. That's the good thing. That is the good thing, that you can get those connectors, those adapters, to go from HDMI down to DVI or VGA. I know I got those connectors. I keep them on hand just in case. Before I switched from AM3 to AM4, my AM3 was one upgrade away from being in the top 1% of all AM3 platforms. That is cool. That is cool. I mean, the one thing that I cared about this Dell Optiplex, the 780, is it carried a non-proprietary motherboard. Means that the kind of motherboards we stick in these cases right here, that case will hold. The case will hold a regular power supply too. It has the regular 24 pin, and it has a 4 pin for your CPU. So that's the reason why I held on to it. Because the newer ones is all proprietary, and it's all built into one, your front headers and everything else are all built on to the motherboard. And I really don't care for those. My upgrade route would have been totally different if I went i5 2500K instead of an i7 2600. Well, you know what? Yeah, I can agree with that. But if you're on a motherboard that doesn't support overclocking, then it really doesn't matter if it's the K model or it's the regular model. Truthfully. Because it's the old AMI bias that you're dealing with. Not unless you can get a UEFI bias and try it, and this is going to be a good test. This I would love to see. If they took an i7 2600K flagship processor and plugged it into a UEFI motherboard. There's a trick to this. The 4 cores will be so screaming hot, it would be like murder on it, don't you think? I don't know. Truthfully, I think it might keep up with the motherboard, but it would be nice to see if you can do that and put 32 gigs of RAM to it, system RAM, and you can apply it to with I would say a 3070 Ti. I would love to see if that system would have been a bodacious system. I don't know. What do you all think? Y'all let me know what you would think of a system like that. If that would be something you would be interested in. To first say, let's say if I could get my hands on a UEFI motherboard that would support the i7 2600K, that would be like sick. I think it would be sick. Okay. Not talking about the one with the regular BIOS that you can only set it up to turbo. You know, I'm talking about ones that you can fine tune precisely. That would be sick. Yeah, I had a H61 chipset Intel motherboard. There was also the H67 and the Z68 and the P67. Yeah. No iGPU, but OC K versions. Had double the iGPU slices. 6 versus 12 and 48 shaders instead of 96. But the i7 version clocked higher. Yeah, it did. I think I was hearing that too, that the i7 clocked more than the i9. That it was more universal when it come to clocking than the i9 was. I don't even thinking about that era. I don't even think they had an i9 at the time that they had the i7 2600 out. Thinking about it, I have to look that up. I don't think they had an i9. I think it was the one. Was it i3, i5, and i7, if I remember right. And then it went 3, 5, 7, and 9 later on. That was like, what, 8th gen? Or 7th gen or something like that? My memory's going bad. I'm being 50. Oh, God. I think my memory's going bad on me. Y'all don't comment on that neither. i7 Sandy Bridge iGPUs 1350 megahertz. i5 were 850 megahertz. Yeah. i9 mainstream CPUs were introduced with Coffee Lake. Yep. Oh, so that I thought it. Okay, yeah. i9s. The 9900s. Okay. No, it was the 8th gen, wasn't it? Because swore it was 8th gen. Because I don't know why I'm thinking 7th. I'm thinking, I thought 8th gen went to i9. Because swore it did. I could be wrong. I'm not, But if it was the 9000 series, then it's 9000 series. I'll have to figure that out. But it's just a thought. And believe it or not, it's just a thought. But anywho. Okay, question for you all. Here's a question for you. How many in 2024 are going to want to purchase an Intel system or an AMD system? Which one are you going to do builds on AMD and which one are you going to do on Intel? There were some 7900X mainstream, but no, HN was Intel stepped up to cores after. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you on that. I wasn't sure if it was 8th or the 9th. But 8th gen is not bad. I have an 8th gen sitting right here on the floor. Right over here. Right over here. I got it sitting on the floor. An 8th gen. 87 and 8700K. You know, Ninja, let me explain something. Everybody has this fallacy about AMD and their driver software. Okay, for their processors. I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain this only one time. Since other reviewers don't explain it very carefully, I'm going to explain this very carefully. Most of my career, out of 35 years, I've ran AMD. All AMD processors. I did a little bit of Intel. Only reason I didn't like Intel is because of the driver software. They were not stable back then. Back then, making it like in the early 90s. Their driver software was not stable back then. AMD, on the other hand, was stable. So, back in the 90s, it wasn't so great when it comes to PCs. Because you got to find stability in the software. And the hardware, wasn't that great neither. So, it was really bad back then. But, to this day, the only thing that I see that Intel's doing, that AMD should be doing, is Intel's overclocking their processors higher than AMD's overclocking their processors. See, if you looked at recent reports, AMD's got up to 9 gigahertz. 9 gigahertz on their processor. So, and now, you got AMD just scratching 6 gigahertz. What did I hear? 6.4 gigahertz off of an AMD processor. But when it comes to their multimedia technology, AMD is the way to go. I've always went AMD when it comes to their processors. I mean, I'm going to tell you straight up. I pulled their driver software one time just to update the driver software for your processor one time. And that's been over a year ago. Has there been any updates since then? No. Has my processor given out? No. So, you know what? On the other hand, when you do Intel, you got chronic updates like you do wearing underwear. Go figure that. And then half their updates don't even work. Okay, and I'll prove this. On this motherboard has one Intel thing, and that has to do with the network card. I went and update the software for that Intel part. Guess what happened? I couldn't get on the internet. So when it comes to Intel and their software, not happening. But everybody blamed AMD instead of using their brain, knowing that AMD was more square about their software than everybody really thought. Every company has their quirks. Understand this. Every company has their quirks when it comes to software. But I've always went AMD. I mean, I got a motherboard back here over in my closet from 1987. So, you know, you can go the Intel way if you want, like there other people say, you get less headaches when you go with Intel. I'd rather go with Intel than I would AMD. Well, stop being a fanboy of Intel and try out AMD. This is an all AMD build right here. Right here. This is all AMD. It's Asus. It's G-Skill. Corsair. Oh, no, not Corsair. It's basically AMD. So your two big main components are all AMD. But I'm happy with it. It held up to my expectations. It's nice and cold. I got the glass off of this one right here. The glass isn't even on this. And this thing's ice cold. Figure it out. Okay, y'all want to go AMD, you go AMD. You want to go Intel, go Intel. My best philosophy to you is, if the hardware is good, follow the hardware. That's simple said and put. Follow the hardware. That's, the best thing to do. Since Meteor Lake was 2 later, and my Alder Lake is nice, I wait for at least Lunar Lake. So no 2024 build planned. I give it a hard pass. I agree with you. I'm waiting to see what they bring out in 2025. 2023, 2024, it's been a bust. When it comes to hardware, don't matter what it is, it's all a bust. Because all these companies were doing was snipping and nipping the performance out of every one of their products and telling us, oh, it's the greatest performance in the world. And they're sitting there shilling us and taking the performance out of their products before they sell it to us. And I've noticed that many a times. Intel's doing it. AMD's doing it. NVIDIA's doing it. They're all doing it. They're saying, here's the price, but what you're not going to get is this here, this here, this here. Look what they did with AMD did with anti-lag 2. It's gone. Poof. They took out anti-lag 2. If you didn't notice, you don't have it in your system. You have anti-lag, but you don't have anti-lag 2. So where'd that go? You paid for it. Where did it go? Just like with Intel and their ARC. When are they going to get to DirectX 12.2 Ultimate? Half the games they ain't got DirectX 12.2 Ultimate. They all got their faults. In Germany, some guys wait for the Milky Way like, yeah, true. That's probably the server for 9 gigahertz, not a consumer. John Paul, that is true. If you watch them do the benchmarks, they use their own software that's not consumer grade software. And this is what nips my butt, is they use special grade software instead of, what they give the consumer. You think the actual consumer can get their GPUs up to that mark? No. Why? It's because they decide to lock all that away, and that's extra performance they took off of your table and put back into their table and told you to pay more. I've been watching this for the last year, and it's ridiculous. Tell me I'm wrong. Y'all tell me I'm wrong about this. I want to see how many say I'm wrong about this. The new 7K series based on Threadripper's HDT is just nuts. Yeah, I do agree with that too. Yeah, I was expecting Ice Lake 10 nanometers in 2016 until was like, let's clock our stuff even higher and hyperscale because we do not like our 10 nanometer yield rates yet. Well, hate to tell you this, they don't do hyperthreading anymore. They pulled hyperthreading out of when it comes to their processors. They got a new scale that they use that, and I hate to tell you this, another thing, and I don't want to use the word hate, but it's at the point to where everybody is going to start hating on it. The new threaded technology that they're using is not even implemented into Microsoft Windows. So if you're wondering why your performance isn't where it needs to be and why everybody's running over to that and using that other software, I can't remember that, but we'll get to that. They're using other software other than Microsoft Windows in order to get all the performance off of their CPUs and their GPUs. They're going to different operating systems now because it seems Microsoft started robbing people, become Robin Hood, started robbing people a little bit. Hate to tell you that. I noticed that when I started taking out all like the Xbox thing they had for your PC, I ripped that out of my system. And you know what? I get to use all my cores. Ain't that funny? See, because Windows operating system right now is built on the process of 8 cores and 16 threads. It's not really based on the 16 core 32 threads that you would get for your AMD processor. Okay. They haven't upscaled it yet. They have not upscaled it yet in Windows 11. Because of the scheduling, they haven't upscaled it yet. It's still on the same 8 core 16 thread. That's the reason why you lose half of your cores and threads when you go to play games on those 7950 X3Ds. Some, unless the game is really demanding, and then you'll be able to get all 16 core and 32 threads. But that's trial and tribulation trying to get that. Intel is very behind in the consumer market for the GPUs. Oh, they're 16 years behind right now. 16 years. They're way behind. I do agree with that. NVIDIA is now making CPUs, or want to. They wanted to do the ARM CPUs, but I guess ARM shot them down and they lost the contract to it, if I remember right. But they're still awaiting another contract to do CPUs. Don't look at NVIDIA to put out CPUs for at least another couple years. I'm just going to say that. That's more or less going to Gigabyte or MSI or Asus or any one of those and say, hey, I need you to make your own CPUs and you to make your own GPUs. I need you to make your own motherboards. And you can't get them from AMD and you can't get them from Intel. And you can't get them from NVIDIA. You all are separate now. You're all separate companies. You all have to make your own stuff. How much the consumer would be hurting if that happened? Really think about that. I meant hyperscaling means they went from, oh, okay, I got you now. From 14 nanometers, 4 core, 8 megabytes to L3 cache to 14 nanometer, 10 core, 20 megabytes L3 cache. Hyperthreading, on the other hand, is Yeah. Well, do remember AMD still runs off of hyper threading. And that's the reason why AMD is processors are still beating Intel processors. I hate to say that. Intel spent all that money into that technology, but AMD is still coming out with their chiplet technology, and it's doing a lot better than the, what do you call it, the big square cube mono whatever. Sorry, my brain's just not working today. So, oh boy, I will be hated if I go for an NVIDIA CPU and GPU build in 2 decades. No, you wouldn't. It'd be interesting. You know how, and I want y'all to understand this. You remember how you always heard the rumor that if you go to build an AMD PC, make sure it's all AMD. Have you ever heard that? Or if you get an Intel, you want to build an all Intel PC, make sure it's all Intel, and so on. The reason why people used to say that is because the way AMD used to have their multimedia technology set up back years ago was that if you went all AMD, the technology runs a lot faster and more efficient than if you plugged in a different GPU makers, whatever, like plugging in an NVIDIA card into an AMD motherboard or with an AMD processor, So technology was different back then than it is now. Yes, monolithic design. It was chiplet compared to monolithic, and heat spreading wise, chiplet is a lot better than monolithic, just to say. And the margins are a lot more with your single chiplet than with your single CC. You got a single CCD and you got a double CCDs. Okay. Now, if you're running 16 core, 32 threads, for every CCD, you're going to have 8 core, 16 thread. Do remember that. So if you're running like the 7800 X3D, it's got 8 core, 16 threads. You're running a single CCD. That, and then with that is they stacked on the L3 cache to it, giving it that extra gaming boost. So supposedly, I don't know about that. The reason why I say that is because I got the 5600 X3D. If they do the single chiplet or the single chip design, and they stack the L3 cache, which this has 96 megs of L3. Okay. So it's got the same amount that they put into the 7800 X3D. And I'm on AM4, and that's AM5. Do your math. I mean, what's going to be better price to performance? In your mind, when it comes to your gameplay, not somebody else's gameplay, your gameplay, is it going to be more beneficial to you to stay on the AM4 platform or go to AM5? How many people can really afford to go to the AM5 platform? And just say, let's say, just to take and go to Amazon, order all AM5 stuff and have it to your door within 2 days or 1 day if you do overnight shipping. You really got that kind of money for a $5,000 to a $10,000 system. There ain't a lot of people that don't have that kind of money for that kind of system. I mean, you can get and I always figured for every $1,000, you get one computer. If you budget it right, for every $1,000, you get one computer. But if you want to go over that budget, then basically, you can go to $1,200-$1,300 right here, $1,200 to $1,300 right here, and get a 7800 XT and an AM4, style motherboard, and go from there. But you can also do this too. You can also go, and if you don't want AMD, you can also go to and do an Intel build and go 12th gen and still stay on the AM4 platform, still use your same RAM, and guess what? You're only paying for the motherboard and the processor. Think about it. And you want to stay on an AM4 build, you can go all the way up to whatever you want. So it's your call. You can get a 12700K. Something to think about. I'm into lower idle power consumption. Intel is good when it comes to building CPUs for the office. Oh yeah. A lot of people speculate that AMD doesn't have a good power idle on their CPUs and their GPUs, which they do. It depends on what kind of program you're running. If you're running any programs in the background, then, it kind of amplifies the draw amount. So if you're testing it, make sure you get everything off before you test. Best way to go about it. Better price, performance. I remember once someone asked, who is the better in that discipline? And a guy who recommended AMD got outvoted 2-1 in favor of Intel on a Skype conference. Wow. Rare Intel win. Oh yeah. Guess I'm limited myself to mainstream CPUs yet and have an upper cost limit. So slightly weaker technology in favor of keeping energy low, not pulling all eggs in one basket or something like that. Yeah, not putting all your eggs into one basket all at one time. I do agree with you 100% on that. That I do agree with you 100% on. I do agree with you. You don't want to put all your eggs into one basket all at one time. That's why I always tell everybody, look at your motherboard. Start with your motherboard. What kind of motherboard do you really want to have? You go by the best of the best, to your second best, third best, to your average, to your mid-average, then you go down to your lower, and then your low average, and then your entry level. Basic average. So, B550 motherboards I got, those are above average motherboards. The Asus Tough and the Asus Strix, these are, back then, before AM5, these motherboards were the shiz. You have to admit, the Asus Tough and the Asus Strix were the shiz in the AM4 series. But when I got my hands on them and then found out one was $100 and then got the other one for like $130, I can't go wrong in that, because back then it was the shiz. So that means even in back then to today, it's still the shiz. Still the same thing. So that's how you got to look at it. Back then was more expensive, but now you can buy them way less than $200 and still stay on the AM4 platform. You know, it is the same reason I will not try to buy a 40 Super Series GPU. Got my Ada Lovelace already. If I need more than a 4060, I'll have gone for desktop 4070 Ti because I love the 4080 with 8104. 4080 with 12 gigabytes. Don't you mean 16? The 4080 was 16? Or the 4060? Oh, you mean, unless that's a misprint, you mean the 4060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM? That would have been interesting if you did the 4060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Yeah, that would have been interesting. But they went to 4060 Ti, and they had one with 8 gigabytes and one with 16 gigabytes. And what threw everybody off was it was the same board. But the thing was, the difference was one had 8 and the other one had 16. Difference between the 8 and the 16 was 1/10 of a percent. 1/10 of a percent between the 8 gigabyte and the 16 gigabyte on the 4060 Ti. Everybody measures in their different ways. I've already had through the grapevine and good friends that I know test hardcore, and they told me 0.5%. So now between the 4070 Ti and the 4080, now the 4080 had 16 gigabytes. Now the 4070 Ti had the 12. Until they're coming up with the 40 Ti Super, which is supposed to have 16 gigabytes of VRAM. The 4070 Ti Super is supposed to have 16 gigabytes. Now, it would have been nice if they would have did the 4070 Super with 16 gigabytes. Since they already have a 12, why did you make another 12? Like I said before, they're taking and they're teasing you with performance, but ripping it out of your hand and telling you this is what all you get. It's just ridiculous. Oh, okay, I got you. It would have been different if they would have went to, but then that would be the 4070 Ti Super with 12 gigabytes would be the same thing. Or yeah, you're right. If it was the 4080 with 12 gigabytes, but give you the same performance, I wouldn't limit yourself for the 4 gigabytes of VRAM. I'd just go get the 16. You know, it depends on what games you play. If your games are high in demand of VRAM, that's one thing. And do remember, VRAM is texture manipulations. The VRAM on your GPU, texture manipulations. It manipulates the textures. Okay, that's when it goes in and does a lot of swapping and everything else. But your main source of your RAM comes from your system. Comes from your processor, comes from your system. So I think NVIDIA choked on the 4070 Super. They should have made it 16 gigs. Yeah, but look at the other GPUs that NVIDIA is supposed to be putting out. The 3050 with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, and they already have one with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Really? That's crazy. PCs building simulators 2 to 7.6 gigabytes. Well, then that'll be plenty. Oh, but you got the 8 gigabyte card, so you'd rather have it at 12 gigabytes. I do get you. I do got you there. But there might be another way that you might be able to get away with that by upscaling your cache on your system RAM. You know, upscaling it a little bit, run a little bit harder, or let me remember this. Your system RAM, you can always, to make up that little bit of difference, if you're running, let's say, at 3200 megahertz on your system memory, you can always go up to 36 to 4400 megahertz on your system memory. Once you exceed the 3600 mark, because at 3600, I can tell you it's only 1% higher from 32 to 36, only 1%. But going up to like a 4000 to a 42 to a 4400 might give you a bigger walking steps when it comes to the sharing. And listen to me carefully, the sharing from your system memory to your GPU, because your GPU still shares system memory regardless. If the 4070 Super is 7% slower than the 4070 Ti, but costs $100 less, some will buy it. Consider J2 said the entire civilization fits between the 4070 and the 4070. Yeah, I know. I heard that. I heard that too. You know, which is right, because basically the way NVIDIA's got everything so crammed next to each other that, you know, if you go to cough a little bit of like CUDA cores or something like that into a GPU, you know, the nickel and dime pricing starts to come out. Then you start getting nickel and dime to death on the littlest, craziest things, you know. But I'm feeling that NVIDIA's doing the $100 nickel and diming people, while AMD's overdoing the $50 nickel and diming people. If you look at the price difference between their GPUs on an average, AMD's at $50, NVIDIA's at $100 on an average. Think about it. Either way you look at it, they're nickel and diming your ass. Right now, my GameCube game takes 345 megs of VRAM. The entire game almost fits into GPU's L2 cache. Which is true. I mean, now these days, if you got a Threadripper, you know, a really decent Threadripper, the amount of L3 cache that has, yeah, I would agree with that. Oh my God, yeah. No needs for 12 gigabytes. I'm totally fine with 8 gigs. RTX 4060 really nailed it for my games. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. I'm glad it did, you know. And understand this, I'm glad it nailed it. I mean, that's what I've been saying all along. If you are happy with your PC, you're totally happy with it. Roll with it until the point in time you get in your life that you're not happy with it. Then think about all that you saved up and going to the next best thing. Take your time, save your money, work towards the next best thing. You know, that's the best way to do it. And when you got fire sales, you know, on these GPUs, CPUs, or whatever, look for the sales. Look at the certain times, and you can go through a bunch of videos. Now, this is a little trick. I'm going to teach y'all a little trick on YouTube. Okay, if you go to a good prominent reviewer that's been doing this for many years, you can backtrack through all their videos for a year, and then 2 years and 3 years, and see which way the market is trending by them telling you how the market is trending. So you create what they call a forecast. And by creating that forecast, then you can see where the trend, what months are going up and which months are going down in price. Like 1 month is going up in price and next month is going down in price. And then you keep, calculations, and you do it every year, and that'll give you a perfect forecast. So you know when to spend your money at what time. I know it sounds crazy, but me working in hospitality all these years also, I have more than just doing CPUs. I did work in hospitality, and every day they would have to forecast how the day goes compared to last year's, and then the year before, then the year before. Then you'll start seeing the trends. Then you'll start understanding when the best time to buy your PC parts. I'm already working on that trend. I'm working on that Excel program for that trend. So takes a little time, takes a couple years to get it. But, once you got that trend and you start to see it every year, then you can go back 5 years and say, okay, well, it was this then, and then, this is where it's at now. Then you move your scales. So you'll be able to scale next year, which I can tell you in the beginning of next year, the Q1 and the first week in Q2 and the third week in Q3 and the third week in Q4. That's what I'm looking forward to for next year. And if you don't know what I mean by Qs, it's quarters. If you ever worked a job to where, you get quarterly bonuses, you got your 4 quarters of the year, you got, certain amount of months a year, because you got 12 months in a year. So you break it down to 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months. 4 times 3, 12. So you got your first 3 months, then you got your second 3 months, then your third 3 months, and then your fourth 3 months. What they call the 4 seasons. So once you break all that down, and then you see what the trend was last year, and I can tell you what the trend was last year, but it's starting real early this year. This is a trend that's, I've been watching. So it's starting really early in January of this year. Because you remember that trend started, November of last year. The trend started in November and then started spawning up past January and then started, building its way up. So, but this year it looks like it's starting out in January. So, just my opinion. That's okay, machine. Welcome. Glad you made it, man. Glad you made it. We still got plenty of time. We still got close to, I think I'm going to pull this up to about 2 o'clock. So you got about 40 minutes. I even know timesters, which are 4-month periods. Yeah. I know some people pull the 4-month periods. but I'd like to do mine every 3 months and break it down to, you got your first Q in first 3 months, then you get your second Q in the 3 months, and then, and so on. So I like to keep it accurate. So that way I know which way the tide's going to swing when it comes to buying hardware for your PC. So, gives me a good idea. Look, y'all can get into the chat and just put your 2 cents in. It's open. Just get in there and let me know what you want to talk about. Right now, we're just open and talking about some things. So, you can rewatch the live stream as a video. Yep, which is true. You can, because I did enable that. Yep, I did that too. You can see the chat all the way through. Yep, did that too. I didn't want y'all to miss anything, and I didn't want y'all to think I'm talking to myself neither. I'm not ghost talking. Come on, really? I didn't want y'all to see if I was ghost talking. Really? No, come on, man. That ain't happening. I ain't going to tell you. I'm not ghost talking. So look at the chats. So, but anywho, as what we can see when it comes to the 40 Series Super, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really not. And my reasons are true. That they're going to try to bleed a turnip, and with them not equating me to anything, as a reviewer, whatever, them not equating me to being a reviewer. I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money on the fact of I'm getting, picking up another GPU that's going to do the same as the GPU I got here. I can't really see this. So, what? Because that does an extra 20 watts? You don't think I can't get an extra 20 watts out of the 4070 here? I really want you to think about this. Do you think they're restricted only to 200 watts? Not the 4070. It's not restricted to 200 watts. And they said, because of this and this and this and this, okay, what is this? What, because it pulls an extra 20, 25 watts. They didn't want to take the extra time, and the connector that they're going to be using with the 4070 Super is going to be the same connector that catches fire with the 4090. Go figure that one out. So this 4070 for this series is one of a kind. If you really want to know. If it is more spicy content like politics, religion, ideologies and stuff and comments, would more likely not be available after a live stream. But technology like computers is very safe in comparison. But do you notice that I don't talk about politics? I try not to. I don't talk about religion. Ideologies, if it's based on PC hardware and software and stuff dealing with computer components or computers in general. But that's basically what you're going to see on a stream when it comes to this channel. Now, you can go to anybody else's channel and see whatever you want. But here, we're just trying to keep it right to the realism of, what we're really here for. The outside world, they have whatever they want to have on the outside world. But when we're in this world, this is our world, our time, our community. Simple said and put. This is not about, you got your manager calling you from your work and saying, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not happening. That's not how it works here. German PC game hardware GPU bus. Ref says 4070 is always power limited and never voltage limited when under load. When it's under load, it is wattage constrained. To 200 watts. It is wattage constrained. Not voltage, is wattage constrained. I can tell you that for a fact because I have a 4070 and I tested it many of times. It's not voltage constrained. My bad if I said voltage constrained, but it's not voltage constrained. It's wattage constrained. But you can get around that too. There is well, they said back years ago it's wattage constrained. I'm sorry, I'm still old school. Do remember that. It's all good. It is all good. Power limited, wattage constrained, same crap. Doesn't matter. But you can get around that too. That's if you know how to reprogram the BIOS of a graphics card, you can get around it. You can take off the restraints. I found out from a friend. Yeah, I'm not going to say who, but you can lift the power constraints of what's on there now. You can make it a little bit higher if you wanted to. Not going to say how. They didn't tell me how. I didn't want to know how. I didn't want to know what they did to do it. But I can tell you it can be done. So, how do you think they got an extra 25 watts out of the 4070 Super? Just want to confirm my observation. My 4060 is 45 watts at 0.695 volts only. If it is loaded 40%, the only wattage is like 20 watts, but no voltage limit. And at 845 millivolts, but the clock speed is higher. Okay. You have more than one type of voltage, more than one type of wattage that connects on your GPU. You have your board power. You have your internal board power. You have your external board power. Okay. You have your internal board power, which when it's under load will pull 75 watts off of the motherboard for your GPU. Now, they don't tell you this. Now, a lot of people are looking at this aspect. But from what I found out on mine was that from the GPU, it pulls 75 watts off the PCIe 4.0 X16 slot. Pulls 75 there on max load. And then your external board power pulls 202.75 watts off of the 4070, which can be upscaled through MSI Afterburner to where it can pull more than that. So you can go up 10% higher on MSI Afterburner. So 10%, something like that. So I can pull it up to 200 on a real good load, about 210. That's about the max you're ever going to get off of that GPU. Unless you change a couple capacitors and you change the BIOS preferences on that GPU. That's the only way that's going to change. So, but until then, you're not going to pull that. Now, knowing that you're pulling 200 watts off of that single connector, you're pulling 75 watts off of the board power, the internal board power. So now you're not just pulling 200 watts into that GPU, you're pulling 275 watts into that GPU. That's one. And then another thing, for the GPU die itself, only pulls up to 1.4, was it 1.42 watts or volts? 1.42 or somewhere in between there. Okay. Either, and which I don't recommend, because if you're pulling more than 1.4 onto that GPU, you could, I think, in my opinion, you'll fry it. So if you pull between 1 volt and 1.25 volts for your GPU die, then you're getting really good power draw from your GPU, from the GPU die. That's perfect for whatever you're running. But I wouldn't go over that. Over those marks, I would not go over that. With the 4070, I would never. Raph says 75 watts is too limited to hardcore gaming. And NVIDIA leaks suggest RTX 5000 Blackwell will focus on energy efficiency. Okay, well, see, the thing is this. Every time it comes down to the fact of energy efficiency, the more energy you're taking away from something, you have to replace it with something else to give it more performance. You can't just take something away and expect the performance to come back. You have to add something in to make the performance go higher. So let's say you undervolt. You still have to have enough headroom when you undervolt to allow the processor to push higher, but with lower amount of wattage and a lower amount of heat. So undervolting's a better way to go, I think. So when it comes to that. Now, I don't expect Blackwell to come out until 2025 anyway. So from now until then, I really don't have any focus on Blackwell. But the 4060, they got the one version They got one version. They have a small form factor version. I think it's the 4060. They got a small form factor that does not require external power. All the power comes off of the motherboard at 75 watts max. So if that gives you any indication, then, you know, that might be something for you. 12 volts times 5.5 amps equals 66 watts. PCIe slot power plus, I think, 1.8 ampere times 5 volts. Estimated 75 watts. Even your biggest manufacturers tell you 75 watts. No matter where you go, they tell you 75 watts total power. So if you want to break that down into how much for 12 volts, how much for 5 volts, how much for 3.3 volts, you know, and how much amperage compared to how much wattage and everything else. It all depends on how you want to break it all down. There's you got a big bowl with a big mess in there of how much power pulls for every little thing that's in there. So, you know, it's how you look at it. But in an overall average of board power is usually from the PCIe connector is 75 watts. And everybody usually says that because that's pretty much how it was tested at. And it was tested to be true. So it's not like it's fiction. It's been tested as a fact. That's how much it pulls from that socket. Look at how Asus tried to do one of those GPUs without having the power plug on the other side to where all the power was built onto the motherboard. I can imagine a 4090 pulling all the power from the motherboard. Oh my God, that's like sick. For CPUs is better branch prediction plus more L3 cache. I do agree. NVIDIA leaks say they are ready in Q4 2024 to release Blackwell. Yeah, but I'm hearing in Q1 2025 because there might be a little bit of delay because of the GPU processors. GPU processors are they're not going to have enough in time to do it in late 2024. That's what I hear. So and plus, you know, too, when they start talking about going up to the 5000 series, everybody's going to have their finger in the thumb trying to get themselves a 40 series GPU. You know, it's going to be a fight to the finish. And then you're going to get what they call scalpers. They're going to take and buy up half the stock that's from different companies like Amazon, Newegg, and so on. Go sell them on eBay for twice their price. They're already doing it now. So I just think it's totally crazy that in order for the scalpers to make their money, they have to buy up the competitors' products. And so they got nothing left in order to sell it on eBay. My best source is Tom from Moore's Law is Dead. Hey, he's pretty good too. I got him on my list. It's pretty good too. Mine is from my friends on the other side of the world that I stay in touch with every day that has that has their finger into the PC world of these big GPU companies and CPU companies and motherboard companies and so on. So when they give me bad information, I smack them on the hand. And when they give me great information, I'll give them a Twinkie. So it's either you get a smack on the hand or you get a Twinkie, one or the other. I'd rather have the Twinkie, man. Yes, RTX 4090 sales are too good. So NVIDIA said they raised the prices. Mid-tier GPUs need help. 4060 and 4060 Ti, 16 gig. Pickup in sales. Consistent prices. But you notice that when they did that, that was during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, that their sales pick up. But any other time with the pricing they got, it's really not going anywhere. That the sales were down for the simple fact that, when they tried to, throw new products out there and they try to mix it in to, with the products out there with the regular prices, that nobody would notice. They think and this is the biggest beef I have with, PC part companies, is they take, instead of telling everybody about what new product they got coming out, they'll take and turn around and put that new product out there mainstream. So it mixes in and nobody knows what's going on. And then last minute, oh my God, they threw out a new GPU, or oh my God, they threw out a new processor. I never knew. Then, you don't know. And they throw it out there and it's been out there for a month. You're like, well, where you been? It's been out there for a month. Come on. Oh, it's just so crazy. The 4060 Ti 16 gigabytes, they threw out there. They didn't do any reviews. They didn't do nothing with it. And the board partners were up in the air. They didn't know what the hell was going on. And then last minute, then you had Zotac start throwing stuff out there. Sapphire start throwing stuff out there. And then, oh my God, MSI had a cow, and MSI started throwing their stuff out there. Then Gigabyte, then Asus, It's a domino effect. It is a domino effect. Asus will be happier when they can mainboard power a 5070. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh my God, that would be like, let's say if you want to talk about the wire, if the trace, the wire traces that's going to be on that GPU were going to be about that thick, about the thickness of this right here on this screwdriver. Each one of the leads, they would have to have 16 leads to go from the connector to the GPU. I can't fathom that. That's just not me. Going from the power supply connectors up to that, I can't really see that. That's sick. Which will likely have some wins against a 4080. Yeah, the best one, GPU, scalpers, lost money on. Oh, yeah. Scalpers did lose their shirt on the 4080s. But they would really lose their shirt on the new GPUs if they came on with the onboard motherboard power You know, if the power is built onto the motherboard, how much money they would lose over that within the matter of a 5-year time period. Think about it. Not a lot of people have the product, so guess what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to sell it. You know, those scalpers ain't going to be able to sell. Who are they going to sell it to? A one-hit wonder? You know, come on, man. So, sorry about that. Been a long morning. Tears. Yeah, I wish I had to read half as many reviews and tech news and still be well informed. Oh, no. Oh, I'm gonna break this down to you. Okay, I'm gonna break this down to you really quick. Let me grab this. Let me take it off of this. Let me take it off of this. Let me do this. Hold on, we're getting there. Okay, I'm going to show you all this. You're going to love this. Okay. Give me the stats on the 7600 XT. Just wait.
Is a graphics card that is expected to be launched in January 2024. It is expected to have a Navi 32 GPU architecture with less than 3,840 stream processors and less than 60 RT cores. The card is expected to have a 16 GB VRAM and a game clock of around 2,600 MHz. The card is expected to support DirectX 12 Ultimate and hardware ray tracing. The price of the card is not yet known. I hope this information helps.
That's Microsoft Copilot on my phone, man. Oh my goodness. You can get it in the Android App Store, Microsoft Copilot. I'll tell you what, it's a beast. It is a beast. You'll be happy. If that, you're wondering. That's a good way to pull out information too. Just to give you a helpful hint. Let's say you're looking for something. You want to save yourself a couple minutes. Get that Microsoft Copilot. It'll help you out, especially when you're looking for tech information. I read PC games, hardware forums. Have to choose my side. I choose gamers instead of scalpers. Oh, I do too. I choose gamers always, man. I never choose any scalpers. I never buy from them neither. The scalpers. As hard as it seemed, it was well worth it. I waited my time. Just like everybody else, I stayed on integrated graphics for almost 11 months. When I had the 5600G plugged into a B450 motherboard from Asus. And I did content creating and everything else off of 16 gigs of RAM. And yes, the same M.2 drive that I'm using for my B550 now is the same M.2 that I was using for my B450. Same one. All I did was transfer it. So like 128-bit plus clamshell for double the VRAM. Yep. 32-bit memory controller. Yep. So the RTX 4060 Ti, like I first thought 7600 XT was. 192-bit plus 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Well, the 7600 XT is going to be one of those cards that are going to be medium main or low mainstream. But remember, the 7600s, they're going to have to topple the 7600. They'll probably do it by $50. So you might get the 7600 XT for $329. But you're getting the 7000 series GPU. It's a 7000 series GPU. So that means, guess what you're getting? RDNA 3 with the 7600 XT. You see my point? So you got your advantages with a lower form GPU. But I also heard, too, that they might be coming out with the 7500 and the 7500 XT as well. That's just chatter at this point in time. Yeah, but do remember the 7600 only has 8 gigs of VRAM. So if they did the 7600 XT at 16 gigs of VRAM, yeah, that would be a beast if they did it for only $320. Well, I noticed some people do care about the texture quality. I just want the damn thing to game. I want the FPS to be up high so I don't get stuttering. I want it to just game. If you're going to take and sightsee when you're playing high powered games, like let's say Counter-Strike 2, are you going to sightsee through that game? Think about it. If you want to go on a sightseeing tour, go down to Florida. That's what everybody else says. Even the gamers say the same things. Your professional gamers, they're saying the same thing when it comes to, are you taking a trip to another land to where you really need all that extra textures for no reason? You're just taking all that extra and extrapolating it and sticking it onto the screen to make it look like it's real. So, but you know how that goes. Oh boy, I remember the forum thread where they complained about weird product stacks, and other people complain about tech fans' behaviors, like complaining about having options instead of having none. Yeah, I've heard that so many times too. You know what? I did myself a favor of? I turned around, took my Reddit account, turned around, took my account. You know what I did with it? I deleted it. Because I'm not going to sit there and listen to, nonsense. And that's all they spew out is nonsense to make themselves look good. I'd rather have my viewers on Discord. And if you don't have the Discord, that reminds me too. So now that y'all put me in reminder of that, why I'm at the Discord channel. Invites. Create an invite. Copy. Okay. If y'all didn't know, we do have a Discord channel, and I do apologize not getting it out any sooner. So, there. I'll put it out there for you. If you want to join, it's free to join. It doesn't cost anything. So, there, said and put. You're more than happy to join. It's no problem with me. So, okay. So I put it out there for y'all. Yeah. All you got to do is create an email account that's active and then go join Discord. That's all you got to do. Nothing to it, man. Nothing to it. 2 seconds. Doesn't take you much to just get it all set and join. Start yourself a Gmail account. Well, it happens to be the same name as as the YouTube channel, as far as I know. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we got one. There we go. I'll wave back. I will wave back. Welcome, Ninja. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, now the text channels, you want to go to the general text channel or general text chat. That's where everything happens, the general text chat. So that's one you want to click on. Yeah, but YouTube channel has all capital letters. Did I put it all capitals? My bad. That's probably me trying to, get everybody's attention. So I put it all capital letters. See how many people tell me on my videos, can you take the cap locks out of your name? Hey, it gets views, man. Come on. Or the one time I have somebody tell me, what was it? Oh, you're just running clickbait. Yeah, if I was monetized, but I'm not monetized, so how am I supposed to be running clickbait? I don't get it. So, explain that one to me. How am I running clickbait if I'm not monetized? Tell me how that works, please. Still thinking about my mail provider. Mail fence or something secretive. Yeah. I'm always on the how do you call it, I'm always on the some kind of email somewhere, someday, somehow, it's always somewhere. I got about 50 million emails. Everybody's like, how do you keep up with it? I'm like, I don't. It keeps up with me. Come on, man. I know how to secretly service work, so I will not eventually justify. Most indefinitely, everybody. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna. For some reason, maybe because I'm just constantly talking too much, probably. Okay, now let me get that out of the way. Let me change this around. And let me get this out of the way. And now, I've been running all this time with this computer, and y'all haven't said one word about that. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you what's on my mind in a minute. Okay. There. Now, how you all are seeing everything is done by a capture card going from my main PC to this PC. Okay. Everything that I did on this PC today is going through a capture card going into my PC. So no matter if what I recorded or it's done, it just went right to the live stream for you all to see. I think that's better for the simple fact is because it doesn't put a direct load onto the computer that you're trying to test. But everything that I tested on this computer so far I can't say nothing bad about it. So after I get done with the stream, the cover goes back on, the wires get tightened up in the back, and that cover goes on, and this is out the door. So this is done. Done. So what do you all think? Other than this cord being in my face. Let me get this cord out of my face. And yes, I'll get a 20-foot cord from Walmart tonight or tomorrow. So that way I can put it right on the backside so y'all don't see the cord anymore. So, but anyway, did you all enjoy the stream? Y'all have fun or what? What's going on? Talk to me. I just started watching 40 minutes. No chance talking about your build. Your stream quality is very good. I recorded without a capture card. Go all AVI and video encoding to its limits. Well, I wanted to see the capture card comes from one PC to the next. It's just like if you got a capture card built in for your main rig, and then you go to take your test bench and you want to record off your test bench. Well, my purpose of connecting directly here is I only need one camera. One camera, you see me right here. I don't need a camera for this. This is directly plugged in to where you see the screen right there. And also, too, you see me on the screen as well. So all the information you see right here that you get off of this one is coming directly from, direct connection from point A to point B. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts of anybody saying, well, the one thing you didn't do is you were sitting there recording it on a camera and you're doing this. It's not original. What makes it original is digital. It's all digital at this point. So with me being in that little corner and recording all the stuff I did for the testing right here, how original do you want it to be? I just want to say that. Because I got somebody else that's naysaying on me, like, well, you're running synthetic benchmarks and this and that. Not when you're not using DLSS 3 and when you're not using any of that other crap and you're just running the cores as they are to see what they can put out, that's not synthetic. When you go to add on that extra little crap in the background, that's what makes it synthetic. That means all your game recording that you do is synthetic. When you put on ray tracing, that's synthetic. So I just want to get that out there. But I go by this today was doing nothing but raw horsepower. There's no DLSS 3 and there's no RDN. There's no FSR3 that was used. Nothing was used. I turned it all off. End of story. Even on the control panels, it's all turned off. It's nothing but the GPUs by themselves. Nothing else. So the performance I got, you just seen, and that's the end of it. So for 2023, I am glad everyone has something nice to do, and this is under full load. A gamer once said people even exhaust doing their hobbies. So no boredom expected forever. Your stuff is very entertaining. I do appreciate that. I'm trying to keep it as original as possible. I'm not trying to do something that's, going to be like, I got to act like I'm jumping out of a box and think everything's got to be my birthday. I'm not doing that. I'm just keeping it real. Keep it original. Keep it real. Real time real. As real as you can. Don't play the fake fantasy thing and make everybody think that, you're in this fantasy world. I'm not doing that. Never happened, never will. And that's just the way I am. I keep it real. So, pretty sure you checked your own live streams for quality control because it is great. Well, thank you. Yeah, I did. Actually, I spent about a week tuning it and getting it just set just right. So that way my router doesn't have any problems. My OBS doesn't have any problems going into YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have any problems going up. Don't know about your future community, but I love having an experienced mentor. Well, some people do, but now these days people don't want to hear it anymore. They don't want to listen to the fact of what you need to do to make it right for you. They just want to say, okay, well, get to the bottom of it and, give me 20 seconds of information and then send me on my way. I'm not going to do that. It takes more than 20 seconds of information for you to get it, the basics of what you're trying to do. You can't tell somebody, okay, well, do this. Go build me a computer A person that doesn't know how to even build not one computer. You can't take and throw them off the bus and say, go build me a computer, and you got 15 minutes to do it. It's not happening. You know, it's just like me training cooks for my kitchen. It's more or less like, you know, you hire them in and say, you know what, get in the kitchen, go to work. They're going to look at you like, huh? What do I do? You know, I mean, you got to have that balance. You got to have that balance that goes from point A to point B. I take my time with information is because people say when you rush, you miss things, which is true. When you rush and you try to talk to somebody and you rush, guess what? You're missing half of the information. You ever notice to go on YouTube, oh, we built a whole computer in 15 minutes. That's bullshit. You cannot make a computer in 15 minutes. There's no way, nowhere. I don't care who you are. If you can take and crap a computer in 15 minutes, let me know. That's a new world record to me. Guarantee that. And y'all know how long this took me. You all know how long this took me. This took me almost 18 hours. 18 hours. Not including the software. If I add another 3 to 4 hours onto that, you get about 21, 22 hours. So, yes, it does take, if you do it right, it does take a long time. But if you take 3 to 4 days in building piece by piece and don't rush it, you'll build one hell of a computer that will blow everybody else out of the water. That's how I look at it. So, if you really want to know, don't rush what you're trying to create as being a masterpiece. You think that when they do sculpting, they rush it? No. They want a masterpiece. It's just like with computers. You want a masterpiece, then take your time with your masterpiece. Learn as you go along. That's the whole idea of you taking and building your own PC, is you're supposed to learn as you go along and build it. So this way you can learn more and more and more. And guess what? Then after that, the next PC you build is going to be easy as cake. You can do it in the mat, you can do it in your sleep. And your brain only holds so much information. And the attention span of people only lasts for so long. Understand that. The attention span of people only lasts so long. We've been going for approximately 3 hours and 13 minutes. Seems everybody's holding in. I get all information by listening patiently alone. If someone intervenes, I write stuff down. Once I mentioned interjecting is due to limited brain RAM. Yeah, I agree. Information is only limited on how much you learn. It was considered to be an insult, even though I was totally understanding, because people cannot know any better if they watch German TV shows. It is pure chaos. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I really am. I'm sorry to hear that. But you know what's better about when I do live feeds every month? Well, not every month, every week. Duh. when I do the live feeds, I'm down to the point. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You know, I am down to the point. We all don't have time in our lives to beat around the bush and say, oh, you know, well, if you would have started here, excuse me, started here and then work your way around to here. Oh, stop right here. And then, you know, go up a little bit. No, then stop right here and then go up. You know what? You'll be the first person to leave my channel because you're not going to want to watch that. You want to know exactly when it comes to even this, what it is. This is an SD card, a USB SD card. That means it's basically, it holds a little bit of information for you for a short amount of time. So it'll hold your information. Somebody at one time asked me what a fan was. I'm shitting you not. They asked me what a fan was. How many of y'all had that happen where you had to ask, somebody asked you what a fan was? I lost myself right there. I don't know what I could have said. Really, I didn't. I know what a fan is. There's many terminologies to a fan. One, it could be a CPU fan. It could be a GPU fan. It could be a fan in your fan club. It could be a fan that you hold and wave it up on your head and do this. What is a fan? Fan can mean many things. No problem. That is what people get taught, to outsource their thoughts, like storing dates from RAM and hard drive before turning off the computer. So we will get better. Yeah, of course. Oh, of course, man. It's like they had many videos, and the craziest thing. They tell you, don't turn off your computer. Come on, man. Why do I not turn off my computer? What's the problem? What is harming my computer by turning it off? I still to this day don't have a solid answer for the people that tell you don't turn off your PC. I mean, seriously. What a fan. I did not know in the first place. Just knew about coolers and scrapyard wars. Oh, man. I was from ITT and said fantastic. Good terminology there. Wow. Good terminology there. Ooh, lordy. Okay. Now, this is the deal. You all had me from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I gave you a long video. Well, actually, a long live feed video. I know I'm probably only going to get like 4 or 5 people watching it. Wink, wink, wink. But anyway, make sure y'all do watch it. So it does get interesting. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be right down to it. This is the end of the year. This is 2023. This is the end of the year. We only got 1 day left before it becomes 2024. So, and also too, people are asking me, they're saying to me, Jay, I'm like, yay. And they're like, should I buy a GPU now or should I wait until after CES? Well, good question. Are they going to, now this is going to be another question I told them. So this is going to be a question for you. Now, during, going through with CES, are they just announcing it, or are they putting on the market the GPUs? If they're just announcing it, so how many months do you have to wait before you get the GPU? Think about it. Y'all think hard about that. Are they actually releasing the GPU in the month of January? Or are they just telling you about it in the month of January? So do keep that in mind. Oh, you're welcome, John Paul. You're welcome. Most welcome. Yeah. The answer in 12 days. Yeah, about that. About 2 weeks later, probably around February, middle of February, you'll see like the signs of life of the 4080 Super, and then they'll work their way down to the 4070 Ti Super, and then they'll stretch their legs when they get around March or April till about the 4070 Super. Yeah. Okay. I can see this is not going to turn out well. CES is announced and releases are in January 17th, 24th, and 31st, with 1 day before review embargoes are lifted. You know what? None of those companies got a hold of me and asked me if I wanted to review any of it. Insult to underwear, man. It's like, you know where my email address is. Don't come up with an excuse when my channel blows up like a Christmas tree and, dwarfs everything you can think of out there. And then you're going to come up to me and say to me, well, maybe I should have got in a little bit sooner to support you and your viewers. I'm just going off about it. I just figure I'd go off about it a little bit. Going off a little bit of a tangent. So I expect the 4070 Super review at January 16th, 4 p.m. in Germany. Well, you know what? If they do the review and if it's worthy enough, and they show the synthetic benchmarks that everybody says I show, then I'm thinking that it'll probably be a pretty good show and tell, but that's pretty much about it. Because I don't think the price is going to be there. Why do you think they're hiding the prices? Get to the point. It's common sense. Why do you think they're hiding the prices? Why do you think they didn't bring the price down of the 4070, the 4070 Ti, and the 4080? Come on, guys. Think about it. If they didn't lower the prices by now, with it being less than a week at CES, what do you think's going to happen when CES hits? They're going to tell us what? 650, 700 for the 4070 Super? That would shatter everybody's moment right then and there. I think that would. That would shatter everybody's mind. See, this is all a mind game. It's all nothing but a mind game. If you're going to play a mind game to get a GPU, you might as well just take and go look somewhere else. Go look at the secondhand store. Go shopping at Walmart. You know, don't ever expect to buy a GPU. You know, I had that thought about not buying a GPU and sticking on the integrated graphics. I had that thought. I was thinking about sticking with integrated graphics because of all the BS that went around the graphics card. It's just too much. But you got to ask yourself the question, am I lucky to get the 4070 right now? Or am I lucky to get the 4070 Super then? So I think they will not be reviewed so poorly like the 3060 8GB and the 4060 Ti. Well, you know what? The 4060 Ti 16GB, they did not give no heads up to any of the reviewers here at all. None whatsoever. They didn't even have, none of the companies released the 4060 Ti until after the till after the first day of sales. If I'm going to buy a product, I need to know ahead of time what the product's about. Not guess that if it's going to be good or bad, you know, and just because it's a number, I can't look at it like that. And if you can look at it like, well, you know, the 4060 Ti 16GB is just a number, let me buy it, then you go for it. The only one that got their hands on that to do a review was Hardware Unboxed. That really did a review because everybody else in the beginning was saying, no, I'm not doing a review. They don't have enough common sense to send it. I'm not doing a review. Hardware Unboxed was the first one to do the review. So, but so in Europe, I'm going to ask you this. Did they have anybody before the day before release, did they send out any product to anybody for testing on the embargo with them when they lift the embargo? I didn't hear nobody talk about the European country getting any GPUs for review. I didn't hear anything. Goldfish. But also too, you gotta think about this, that some of these companies like AMD and Nvidia and Asus and all them, they're gonna have their own reviewers review their own products instead of sending them to independent testers. They're gonna start, you know, cutting out the independent testers and just do their own review, from what I'm hearing in the near future. So keep that in mind. Yeah, well, cheap enough compared to the 4070. same technology level, total silence when it came here to review. Well, I didn't do a review on the 4060 Ti 8 gigabytes. I extrapolated my opinion on a video of it, but I never tested it. And I've always said this: when I test something, it becomes a fact. But when I don't test something, it's just my opinion. So if I'm giving my opinion on something, that's not factual. It's just my opinion. It's what I think. So, but when I tested here, like I did the 7800 XT and I've done the 4070, that's fact. I can prove my facts. So that's the difference. For GTX 1650, I hated graphic cards too much to not stick to GPUs after my Radeon 7750 had driver issues. Well, that's old technology. If your 7750 had driver issues, that's old technology. Now we're coming up into the new technology. Things have changed since the 7700. Okay. Yeah. Things have changed since the Radeon HD 77 and the 7750. So, big changes. DollarTech 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte review samples for European testers as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's how they skirted everything underneath the barrel for everybody to buy the product, going underneath the reviewers, thinking that they were going to get a bad review on a sample of the card. Well, when they give the cards to the reviewers and they give you a shit bias, and I'm going to call it as it is, they give you a really crappy bias. How are you supposed to take and review their products when they send you a review of a crappy bias? I don't get it. I've had that happen more than once. They'd send me a crap card with crap bias control, and you go to test it. The numbers would be down in the 20s and 30s, and you're watching other reviewers get their numbers in like the hundreds, 150. And you go like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And then you're searching around all day long to see what you did wrong, but you did nothing wrong because Dick Dong over there turned around and screwed up the bias and gave you a bum card with a bum bias. So it's just like, if they can get their cards, processors, whatever, up past the margin of 5.2 gigahertz on any day, any reviewer or whatever, if they can get it up to that high amount, then they're accomplishing something. But if they're turning around and they're playing around with the fact of that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're restrained on your GPU. You cannot do what you want to do. So you're done, stuck in that boat to where you have to do as they tell you to do, not because you want to do this a different way. I don't like that constraint. I really don't. It drives me crazy when, these companies do that to everybody. So 4060 Ti 8 gig. Founders Edition. There's going to be no Founders Edition for the newer cards, from what I'm hearing. If you're wondering, on Nvidia, they were saying no Founders Edition. There might be, you never know in the future, but they're saying right now they don't foresee. Founders Edition cards coming up. Let's see what else. Compared to, let's see, 4060 Ti, yeah, that I agreed to. But the 4060 reviews were different. Then they decided to give me permission for limited scenario to allow test on Daniel Owen. Did a Cyberpunk 2077 showcase. PC hardware refused. PC games hardware refused. Whoa. Because they said they are the ones to test the best case scenarios for GPUs. And indeed, NVIDIA were not showing 4060 in a great spot, but PC game hardware real test then did. Oh, I was curious about it, if there is at least one Founders Edition in the 3 new cards. Well, I would be curious, but we won't know until CES what they have planned. I might have heard, they might have one, but I doubt it. NVIDIA and AMD been sort of working their way away from the Founder Edition cards because they wanted to put more of the scope on the board partner's plate, but they only wanted to. Now, what? Okay, I'm explaining this again. They put the position of the GPUs on the board partners' plates. Then they turn around and have the board partners send back a new lineup that they can sell on AMD website. I think that AMD is getting some kickback on the fact of purchasing GPUs from the board partners and turn around reselling them back on their website. So, as far as Founders Editions, I don't know. That's totally up in the air. But I caught wind of somebody saying something about, NVIDIA selling off their stock to, board partners, and then turn around that they're going to buy GPUs from the board partners a certain amount and sell them off of their site. I heard something about that. NVIDIA knows they could have better marketing. This gives me much more comfort, at least because they can they're not that smart, dude. I've caught many of times, caught many of ways. They're not that smart. When it comes to their GPUs, they sell those GPUs at a certain price because they're MSRP locked. Now, if you noticed, NVIDIA and AMD are so-called pulling away from that MSRP lock and just putting the price out in the air, other than locking it down to one set price. AJ, I will finish my game, then think about creating an email, then join Discord. I have no more quests for today. We can end the stream. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a happy new year. And yeah, I'm going on almost 4 hours, so everything's going good. This PC's done, got a new home to go to. You all got your parties to go to. I got my parties to go to. But it comes down to, I'm glad you all stuck around to party with me today. It's been very interesting. I hope everybody got the information they were looking for right out there. So, but I do appreciate you guys joining me and sticking with me, and let's make this grow, and let's make this really the best channel that we can make it right here on YouTube. So, but anyway, this is going to conclude our stream for the day. But if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds community. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do, helping support the channel, watching videos from beginning to end, and telling your friends to come on down and subscribe, watch videos from beginning to end. But anyway, you all have a great and fine day. And we will see you either on the 1st of January or the 2nd. So we will see you then. Have a great evening, y'all.